Hello there, I didn't see you there. Hello, early friends, and welcome back to my weekly vlog where I talk about my writing process, struggles, obstacles along the way, and I give you a little bit of inspiration. This time around, I want to talk about a couple of things. The first and biggest of them all is the idea of saving story ideas for later. But before I go anywhere, allow me to tell you what I've been up to the last week. I haven't been writing because I've been focusing on a particular task at hand. As you've probably heard, I will be attending FanimeCon 2015, San Jose, California, May the 21st through the 25th, at the end of this month. And I have to prepare a bunch of things because I have another family thing along the way, and I have to prepare a bunch of stuff for the blog and the channel and stuff like that. So I've been really busy preparing all of that stuff. Because the blog doesn't run on its own. I wish it did. I wish I had like a software that could just like randomly make story seeds that were actually good, as opposed to just like random story seeds. But now I have to make all those by hand, and the writer positivities as well. I have to make them all by hand, which takes a little while. I have a bunch of stuff already prepped up, so I'm feeling a lot better. I still have a lot of work to do though, so I haven't been able to write. Last week I talked about staying motivated, and just no spoilers, no surprise, music has still been helping me. Music is what allows me to stay focused on the worlds that I want to come back to as soon as I'm able to write again. And I should be able to write probably by next week. By next week I'll be able to get back into the writing wagon and probably get a bunch of writing done, probably even finish a whole book by the time I move on to Fanime. And if you want to meet me in real life, you can visit me at FanimeCon 2015, San Jose, California, April 21st to the 25th. There you go. Anyways, big subject today. I want to talk about the idea of saving story ideas. The idea of saving story ideas. Can you tell that I don't have a script? I actually never had scripts. Fun fact about my videos. I haven't had scripts since like okay, it's funny because like the last videos that used scripts, ironically, were the videos for like how to plan your novel and regaining the motivation to finish your project. Like the two biggest, the first videos that I did with me and my face on the camera were the last ones that were scripted. Because all of my original virtual writing academies were pretty much scripted, and people think that's badly, but I mean you need to come in with a plan when you're recording a video. Or so I thought until nowadays. It was because I was getting started. When you're first getting started with doing something, planning is pretty helpful, especially for videos. Nowadays, Joe, I'm so used to the format that I just come in, talk, let you know what I've been doing, make a couple of jokes here and there, and just move on. Simple as that. It's all practice. I believe there's a thing out there that says that like it takes you 10 times to get used to doing something, and I think it does kind of hold up for a lot of things. I think it's more time based than task based. Because I don't think it takes you 10 books to learn how to write a book. I don't necessarily I don't think so. But still on the side of the way, I love this new black shirt. It's so nice. I bought a bunch of new clothes recently. Anyways, that's entirely unrelated to the subject. Someone sent me a question, and I get a bunch of questions on Tumblr. Tons of them, actually. So many that I cannot physically answer all of them. But I do read them, and I try to mention them in videos and also in writer positivities. So somebody sent me a question, and it was, I don't want to say an amateur question, because that's one, disrespectful, and two, I know nothing, Jon Snow. I know nothing of this question. So somebody sent me a question, and the general idea was that they had this really good story, really good, so they said, story idea, and they didn't want to write it right now because they thought it would waste the story idea. And there's two things, first, that we're going to talk about here. Number one, do I save story ideas for later? I do all the time, not because I think they're awesome and good, it's because I don't have the time to write all of them. I recently made a post on Instagram, and I talked about ideas again. It's like, I get ideas everywhere. Like, the more you write, the more you become, like, hyper-aware. It's kind of like you have, like, a fourth eye, where you're literally just seeing story ideas everywhere. And it's not just me, it's like every writer out there. Like, Neil Gaiman has talked about this, Stephen King talks about this, and it's like, every shadow is a murder, and everything else is like a story idea you see. It's kind of silly and ridiculous. But I was walking around with Kitty, my super awesome, super duper best friend, and she said something. I don't know what it was. But then I was like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if I wrote a story that was kind of like Chobits by Clamp, the manga / anime, except, and in case you don't know, Chobits is anime / manga by Clamp, in which the main character purchases a personal assistant which happens to be shaped like a girl. Hilarity ensues. But I'm like, what if you take that idea, except the personal assistant is bloody lazy. Is super incredibly gosh doodly darn lazy. And she does nothing but just like lay around, be super cute and pretty, and just like get nothing done. And hilarity ensues. And I wrote it down in my the app. I use an app on iPhone, and it's called Clear. I love Clear. It's like my favorite listing app. The best feature of all is that you can if you get the app on Mac, the list automatically sync, which I really appreciate because I can be out and about writing things down and then just get home, and on my MacBook I actually check things. Really fun, but I wrote it in that list app. I wrote the idea as Chobits except lazy. And Kirin 2016. Like Chobits except lazy. But yeah, that's literally how I write story ideas. I don't know. It seemed like a good. And I think this actually boils down to like the general idea of story ideas. It's like it seemed like a good idea at the time. Am I ever gonna write that story about Chobits except lazy? Maybe. It seems like a really fun thing to do eventually. Kind of like, I think I would probably use like the anime format. You know, like do like an OVA, like a 6-part, like a 6-act sort of story, I guess, and I don't know, publish it, novella, maybe a little bit longer than a novella, I think, probably 60,000 words, I think, probably, yeah, well, that's actually a novel now that I think about it, yeah, math, anyways, so, first thing out of the way, do I save story ideas? Of course I do it all the time, and I do that mostly because I don't have time to write all of them, just answer now. The main thing, now the thing that I want to cover, now serious time. Can you waste a story idea? Is there such thing as wasting a story idea? And it's funny for me because I've been talking about this for a long time, and I think a story, and allow me to explain myself before you yell at me or before you say anything. Story ideas don't matter. They don't matter at all. And I think there's a Neil Gaiman quote, and it's like, it's not the story idea. It's never the story idea. It's what you do with it that matters. And yeah, that falls into a similar pattern as a lot of proverbs in culture. Yes, I know, but it actually does hold up. That's the thing where like people worry a lot about using my story seeds, and I had to put a disclaimer in the actual post, being, hey, whatever you make out of this story seed belongs to you. You don't have to like give me sourcing unless you want to, in which case I appreciate it, because it doesn't matter. Story ideas are just concepts, just like molds, and whatever comes out of it may not be what you actually put in. And that's why it's kind of like the idea of the Virtual Writing Academy, which is my other show on this channel. I give you a story idea. A character does this, or this happens to some character, and everyone goes about it differently. Why? Because the story idea doesn't matter. The story idea, as I mentioned, are story seeds, the little point from which the story springs from. And what grows out of that story seed depends basically and mostly on you. So by that strain of logic, you can't really waste the story idea because the story idea itself is not exactly the main point. It ultimately boils down to the storytelling. Now, that's of course a really long-winded explanation to get around saying no. But I wanted to explain that before I moved on to my point about this person's question. Because they were asking about, it's like, they didn't want to write it right now because they didn't think they were talented enough to write it right and not waste it. Now, there are a bunch of things that I can say about that, but first and foremost, the only way to truly waste a story idea is by not writing the story idea. And I understand the concept behind, and watch as Max utilizes the word concept instead of idea, because I realize I've been saying idea like 20 times. New drinking game. Every time I say the word idea outside of the concept of a story idea, take a shot of water. Stay hydrated. I understand the concept of you thinking that you're too young or too inexperienced to write something. Here's the dealio though. Writing is not an RPG. You don't have to be level 69 to be able to unlock the ability to write a horror story. You can just come in and start. And you could skip those 69 levels and just start writing something like it. Why not? Story ideas are only truly wasted when you don't write them. Because a story idea that just sits in an Evernote file inside of my files for ages and never gets touched, it's pretty much wasted. Now, is that exactly a bad thing or a good thing? I'll tackle that in a moment. Max, use tackle. I understand. It's funny because this question is like so many layers, right? Because it's like, first, are story ideas meaningful? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. Again, that's all just my opinion on what I think. That's why, like, I've been making story ideas forever. You know, that's what my story seeds are, just story ideas. And I've made hundreds of them. And I feel like even I could do like 10, 5, a dozen takes on each particular story seed. Why? Because it's not the concept, it's not the idea. It's how you go about doing it. And that's why I keep saying that for me, stories are not about plotting or about events. They're about people making choices, people doing things. And that is ultimately what plot is to me, or what stories are about for me. I think I already touched on this, but I want to touch it again and a couple more times to make sure that I've already made my point. Story ideas are not like perishable goods. Like, if you write the story and it doesn't work out for you, you can write that story again. You can go into that idea and create something else similar to what you wanted to make. You can just try again. Now, have I done that in the past? Not really, primarily because I'm always open to what my story becomes, so I go all the way, always. I know that it can be incredibly daunting and scary to write and to create stories, especially when you think that you're not ready or old enough or skilled enough. But, as I mentioned, the story idea is not what your story is going to be about. Yeah, sure, you can pitch it to somebody and get them interested, but ultimately, is the storytelling. Like, think back on all of the books, on all of the movies, on all of the games, don't mind me poking my mic, on all the games that you have played, and all the movies you have seen, and all the books you have read, where the story idea seemed really cool, and the execution was just not there. And the inverse of that, think of all the things that you've seen where it had a really not interesting story idea, and yet the execution was fantastic. And I know that this has become more like a pseudo-formal writing advice video more than me talking about my own process. I really wanted to talk about this in a really casual format, because, again, this is all just my opinion on how I feel about things, but I think the most important thing to remember here, and the biggest thing to remember when it comes to story ideas, is that, first, they can't go to waste. They will always be there, and you don't have to worry about waiting for them, and you don't have to like gain levels and be skilled enough to do them. You can just jump in. You can just write whatever you want, because it's not about genres and types and concepts. It's about storytelling. You come in and you seek to tell a story, and you will never be wrong. But most importantly, above all, I think saving story ideas is cool, and it's fun, and it's nice to keep them in the background for whenever you don't know what to write. But remember this, okay? Huddling around a story idea because you think it's good, because you think it'll get you far, because you think it's amazing, it's alright. Just remember that there will always be more story ideas. And keep in mind that there are always going to be more story ideas than time. There are always going to be more, and trust me, and I don't know if you're already at this phase, you're probably already past it, but there's going to come a point where every shadow is going to be a story idea. Everything a person says can be twisted into a story idea. Everything you see, every interaction can become a story idea, and it's just because we're looking out for them. And that's good. What I want you to take from this, and what I want you to, carry with you, is that whenever you're writing, write the stuff that excites you. Write the stuff that makes you want to write it. Instead of it being like, I think the story idea will get me published, how about I want to write the story idea because it excites me, because it's fun. Because I've been saying this for years. If you're not having fun, the reader can tell. The reader can absolutely tell when you're pushing it, when you're forcing it. And more importantly, just because you think that it'll get you famous and it'll make you money, it doesn't guarantee anything. Think of all the people who go around copying whatever is popular right now because they think it's going to make them cash. You can't guarantee those things. And so you might as well, instead of wasting your time, dedicating it to making something that will sell or saving story ideas, just write whatever you want to write, whatever excites you. And I find that more often than not leads to a healthier, more effective success than, trying to always be shooting to impress somebody. And one last thing, as I've been saying for a really, 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 really long time, unless you're crazy like me, who finishes books in 2 weeks, if you're writing, you're going to be writing a book for a long time. Weeks, months, even years. Why then dedicate your time to writing a story that doesn't excite you? A story that doesn't make you want to write it and work on it, doesn't make you happy. Because, again, you may come in wanting to become famous and rich and all those things, and that's alright. You can do whatever you want. And I'm not saying those two things are self-exclusive. You can have a story idea that also you think will make you rich. It's fine. It's cool. It's alright. But the thing is this, you're going to spend years working on this project. And this project is going to carry your name and is going to be something that's going to be attached to you for the rest of your career. Why then not make it something that also excites you? You know? Make it something that you want to write. Something that you can look back on and say, you know, when I wrote this, I was having fun. And I think that means a lot. And I think when you're reading someone who had fun writing, you can tell. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just the way that I do things, the way that I believe in things, but that's kind of my goal. I'm not out there to, change your life. If that happens, then awesome, but I'm just out there to tell a story and to give you a moment of respite from the craziness that is life and the world, you know what I'm saying? But that's just me. This video has gone on for way longer than I intended. It's mostly just me talking about story ideas, and I hope you don't mind. I hope that it was fun, and I hope that if anything, I'm giving you another point of view. But with all those things said, though, I'm done for today's work. I've been doing a lot of work, and I have a couple more things that need to happen, not exactly work-related, but I gotta get going. I want to thank you for watching, and please go into the comments below and let me know what you think. Do you have any thoughts on the concept of, story ideas and saving them or not saving them? And, let me know what you think. Let's have a conversation and just talk, and let me also know as well how your week has been going. Have you been getting more words than me? Because you probably have. I'm not writing at the moment, so, consider this a great chance to get ahead, get some stories, and get some writing done. I know a few of you are, in vacation for strange reasons. Man, schools overseas are weird, but hey, consider it a great chance to dedicate some time to the things that matter the most to you. In which case, writing and art and the sharing of stories. But with all those things said, though, I want to thank you for watching, thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me, and I'll be seeing you soon! Mwah!